One area which crosses between local and national government, of course, is waste. And in terms of climate change and the environmental agenda, doing something a bit better than sticking our waste in a big hole was what we did when the Energy from Waste plant was created. But I would imagine that as that draws to the end of its useful life, which is coming up in the next 5 to 10 years, other solutions are going to have to be found for our waste problem. Have you got any thoughts on that, Alistair?
Again, I'm not an expert on this, but it strikes me that perhaps our fragmented local authority structure is not helpful for kind of national solutions for this kind of major issue. When we've got biosphere status, I think people from outside will be surprised that an island that boasts its biosphere status doesn't have a fully functioning island-wide recycling curbside collection scheme, for example.
Yes, and certainly the evidence would point to that working extraordinarily well where there's proper education in place as well. And I think you're right in terms of the uncertain, I suppose, relationship between local government and central government. Central government obviously is responsible for setting policies, national policies. It regulates waste collection, but local authorities collect the waste. And somewhere between the two lies the responsibility for recycling. Is the recycled material waste? Well, no, because it's got some sort of value. So the local authorities have got a get out of jail free card which says it's not waste, therefore it's not ours. But on the other hand, it's not necessarily something that is clearly a central government responsibility.
And when you get these grey areas, it's an excuse for things not to happen.
Exactly. So I think one of the questions that you'd be wanting to ask your MHK is how are they going to tackle this? We could, of course, and we probably ought to talk about local government reform, which is often talked about. One of the areas of local government which seems to have been left largely to its own devices is Douglas. Some people might argue that Douglas is allowed to spend rather a lot more ratepayers' money doing things perhaps less efficiently than many of the other authorities on the island. So should local government reform be purely about getting rid of the small local authorities and amalgamating with the larger, higher spending authorities? Or is there something to be said with looking at the actual functions of local authorities and deciding what should be done at a local level and what shouldn't, and then trying to work out from there how you actually shape local government? Yes,
I think it's a Victorian structure essentially, and requires a really thorough review rather than just tinkering.
Well, I certainly would agree with that. But change of some sort would be necessary. But most of our politicians, certainly in recent years, seem to have chosen to leave that particular sleeping dragon to sleep, because every time it's provoked, it seems to cause huge amounts of consternation and hot air, but not an awful lot of change.
Perhaps they realise that that's one that they can't win.